folks, it's Kat. Welcome to my studio. If you're brand new to our channel, so happy to have you here. We love all your comments, and if you want to give us a thumbs up, that would be great, or subscribe. We really appreciate that. And today in the studio we're going to be talking about backgrounds, some of my favorite backgrounds to use not only for art journaling but also for flat work, for paper, canvas, and boards. So we're going to be talking about that in just a second. Art journaling is such a huge topic. I decided to split it up and today talk to you about backgrounds, which is where we really need to start when we're talking about art journaling. So that's why I decided to do this. We can do transfers and images and prompts, and I mean, there's so many different things to talk about. So today I thought that going over the textures would be the very first thing to do, and I wanted to share with you one of my favorites, which is Collage D Collage, and the way I created this. And so to begin with, this is just a little piece that you could either put in your journal or you could actually do right on the page. All of these can be done right on the page. So to begin with, I just used a piece of mixed media paper and I glued old book pages down, and then I simply ripped it back. And I do this a lot. I love doing this in my work. Often I will come back now and then re-glue pieces down to create more texture, but to save on time today, I'm just going to show you what I actually did. I took the butterfly wing and then glued it down here right in the center of the page, and then I used paint to cover that over, which is just a really simple technique, of course. But as I said, you can use a lot more layers and make it highly layered if you want to. So that's Collage and D Collage. Now I've taken the liberty of getting started with some things today because we don't have all the time in the world on a YouTube video. So I've already started a few things. And one of the first things I want to share with you is tissue paper. And tissue paper makes a great background texture. And as I said, you can use this in your art journal backgrounds, you can use it on your boards, your paper, or on your canvas. And it makes a wonderful texture, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And I put a document paper down, a document tissue, just to show you you're not limited to just plain paper. You can use other things as well. So just quickly show you the technique for doing this, and I'm just using a sketchbook paper here, and I'm just going to smear, which is a definite artistic technical term here. All artists use smear. Spread this around on my paper, and then I'm going to scrunch my tissue and I'm going to lay it down, if you can see that, so that it's nicely wrinkled. And then I'm going to go back with my document tissue, and you could use flowers or whatever you want, and we're just going to glue that down. Okay, so that's the basic technique. Now that you have it and it's all dry, we'll just magically whisk that one away. Then you can use a colored pencil, or you can use some kind of paint to go over it. And let's see, I think we'll just put some white paint on here so you can see what that looks like. Just a little dab. And it creates a wonderful sense of texture. Just like that. So that's a pretty cool technique. Actually, everybody's doing it right now. It's very popular. Okay, next one I want to show you is using a mask. And the masks that I'm showing you are just hand cut masks. I actually need that white for this. So what I did was I used just simply mixed media paper, and I painted it. and then I created a mask. Now the reason I would do this is in your journal, if you want to create an area where now you can write something in your journal, then you have this area that's already masked off. And the way I did this was I painted it and left it wet and then went over it with the white, just barely, when it had just almost completely dried, just to get a little bit of the blue. Obviously, the way I'm going to show you right now is I'm going to use the white paint and it's going to be more white. Creating a mask is really simple. I used mixed media paper and I simply tore it to get a rough edge, and I've also used happy scissors. I don't know what you really call those scissors, but the scissors that have a wonderful little edge. So you can simply lay your mask down and then create the space that you want. So you can use a heavy body acrylic if you want, but I just messed that one up really good, and that's the way it is sometimes with art, but we'll just give you a quick idea of how it works. So, and I used this fluid so you could see underneath and you could get a texture, but just creating a mask. Now you can also use a ripped edge so that you can create some kind of spatial difference in your work. So you can do a lot of wonderful things with masks. The next texture background that I want to show you is using plastic wraps. Now you can use bubble wrap, you can use plastic wrap, or you can use any kind of plastic or hard plastic, lots of different kinds of film. And it works really, really well. So I'm going to show you how I did that. First thing I did was paint the background black. I'm using carbon black, and then just a little bit of white paint. And we're just going to put it on the palette that I'm using. I'm just using a Tupperware lid. Oops, got it all over me. That's what rags are for. And then I'm simply going to take the plastic wrap. Now you can do this two ways. You can have wet black paint and smush this, which is another technical art term, or you can just put it in the paint, which is the way I did this one, and you can layer it on like this. Now you can make it look more like a stamp. I don't particularly like that. This is plastic wrap from a baggie, and so it has a little bit of a different texture to it, and kind of interesting, more dendritic, I would say, and less smushed. But anyway, it's a wonderful texture to use in different areas in your art journaling or in your artwork, and makes a great background. I love using gesso. We talked about this in Resist. If you saw my video on Resist, I absolutely love gesso, and I'm hoping that you can see the gesso underneath. I used a really light shade of golden, this is called green gold, and just used a light wash to cover this up. I took the liberty of putting some gesso down on the paper to begin with, so that it would be dry, because if you've worked with gesso, you know it takes a while to dry. So I'm simply going to do that now so you can see the technique. You want it to be fairly thick to work as a resist, but as it dries, you get that really nice, beautiful depth. And this is a background that I particularly like to use. Now, once you have that down, then you want to lightly lift off. Of course, if you used a heavy body, this isn't going to work. So you need to use a fluid or a watercolor paint or an ink, and then it'll show up better. So this one is dry, so you can see the depth. This one will be like that as soon as it gets dry. So pretty simple and great technique. The next technique is graffito and impasto. They are both Italian words. Impasto means to build up a heavy texture, and I hope you can see that I use the paint, the heavy body, very thickly. And then to do the graffito, it's very simple. You need a background color that's dark. You're always working dark to light, and then you add another color. In this case, I used yellow ochre, and I put it directly on the page. And then I used a palette knife. Now you could use a credit card if you want to. I don't personally have credit cards in the studio, but this is how you do it. So you just spread it, and you could use an angled brush too if you wanted to, and then simply scratch into it just before it dries, or as it's still wet, and then let it dry. Now this is a really cool technique because you can go over this with a little bit of white or another light color, maybe Titan Buff would be, no, we'll use white. Try the white. And again, I'm using fluid to go on top. And then I'm going to lift. Lifting paint in the studio is a really great technique, and everybody uses it. So there you go. So you can take a lighter color and then put that on top. As I said, working dark to light always. This last technique I want to share with you is what I think of as unification or blending. And it's when you have a lot of things going on your page, and you want to make everything look like it's been married. It's the same family. It's all living together. And so, you have a lot of different elements going on in the page. And so to make things really simple, I just used a book page and glued it on, and then used some wrapping paper. And then I used the Titan Buff and a little bit of the gel medium, which is actually glazing liquid, not gel medium. I'm always using that word. And blending those two together. Now you can use white as an abrayer. You could use that, but just mixing a little bit of colored paint together and blending it. And I chose the Titan Buff obviously because that's the background color of the book page, and we wanted to bring them all closer together. So as you can see right through the glazing medium, but yet there's this kind of filmy haze, and it looks pretty cool. I love glazing medium. It's one of my favorite things to use in the studio. I hope you enjoyed the segment today on backgrounds for using in your journals or your artwork. And next week, I'm very excited, we're going to be doing organic dyes with paper. So if you've always wanted to do that, I hope you stop by for that. And I hope you have a great week, and ciao for now. Thanks for stopping by the studio today. I hope you enjoyed the backgrounds. And next week we're going to be doing organic dyes. So if you've always wanted to do organic dyes on paper, that would be fun to have you stop by the studio next week. And I wanted to, no I don't. I don't know what I wanted to do.